13-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champ, 2 decades in the NFL. Drew Brees drops by, and we always appreciate it. So we got a couple games to break down. Let's just start. Let's start with a big one that's viewed as sort of the kind of the rivalry, the Ali Frazier, the McGregor-Nate Diaz. I mean, you get these Bills, Chiefs, they all kind of look the same. And it's funny because we've kind of lumped Mahomes into, okay, he's the winner, and Josh isn't. But Josh played pretty darn well. The thing that bothered me, and I think you had the advantage like Mahomes, and I don't know how much of an advantage, but it is great to have an offensive guy who sees the world like you do, like Andy and Sean. I was a little bothered by all these tush pushes for a 6'7" quarterback leaping into the air, and I'm like, he's a piñata. I mean, when you see that, did you love that as a 4th and 1 call repeatedly over and over again for Buffalo?
It certainly felt repetitive, and especially in the fact that it wasn't working
right
as well as probably they expected. It's been automatic for the Eagles here for the last couple of years, and then obviously Buffalo kind of adopted the same strategy, and in large part that's because they all have big physical offensive lines, and they have a big physical, strong quarterback that can typically, maneuver his way through and get the first down. Look, I've always felt that the true quarterback sneak, there is an art to it.
Yeah.
There's an art to finding the soft spots. At times, you maneuver into a gap. At times you go over the top. But I think you have to have some threat that something else could be coming in order for that to work, as opposed to just constantly lining up in that formation and everyone in the world knows what's coming. So I think a little variety in hindsight, probably would have been helpful. In a lot of cases, that's also when, as an offensive play caller, you have an opportunity for a big play. You know that the defense is going to be selling out into the gaps. Maybe you sneak a little tight end delay out, or you get a pick route, with your running back. It's what the Chiefs do so well in these 3rd and short, 4th and short situations. Get these linebackers picks, sneak it back out into the flat. You saw it at least a few times in the game from their perspective. So obviously in hindsight, they since it didn't work, it probably could have been a better strategy.
It's interesting. I feel like Mahomes and Reed are actually more aggressive in these big spots. They're almost liberated by it, almost like, okay, if we lose, we're out. Let's empty the playbook. Go back to your big games with Sean. Is there a feeling when you get to sudden death football, hey, guys, this is something we're probably not going to show earlier? Do you unveil new tricks because it potentially is the last game of the year?
Look, in most cases, your best opportunities to make big plays is in those situations, because in most cases the defense is taking away the things that they know you're going to try to hit them with in normal down and distances. They're going to make you earn it. They're going to make you just take completion after completion, be really flawless in your execution. It's when you get to those 3rd and 4th down moments in critical situations where you're going to get man-to-man. You're going to have the opportunity for that matchup, or you're going to be able to kind of break out that wrinkle that gets a guy, busted loose, or you kind of set that pick, or, a little bit of that trickery to get their eyes. That's the Chiefs do that better than anybody. In every one of those situations, you can tell it's so well thought out. I mean, it's the Andy Reid special. Like, we're going to get some kind of a man zone read. Like, look, what the play that sealed the game at the end when they threw it to P. Ryan in the flat.
Yeah.
They motioned 2 guys over, got him reset. You see that it's man-to-man, and then you run those guys across to set a natural pick on the backer, and you sneak the back out. We used to call it snake, because it's impossible to cover for that guy. And so he just deals it to P. Ryan. He goes and gets 15 yards. They win the game. Like, I've seen that 5 times from them this year, right? And if it's not that, then it's this, hey, we're going to sell the line one way, and we're going to sneak the back out of the backfield. We're going to set a pick, with kind of a down block. And here springs, Pacheco. Like, it's time after time, just this, like, it's just great execution. I mean, it's great game planning. It's very QB friendly, honestly, because you're giving him man zone reads with the way that you move receivers or motion or shift. You identify matchups, and then you execute.
You won your Super Bowl in your 9th year. This is 7th year for Josh Allen. The kid was so devastated after. I feel so bad for him. What is it like? Take your worst loss of your career. How gutting is it, Drew? What does it do to you mentally for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, I'd say this for Josh Allen. A couple of years ago when they lost in the divisional round to the Chiefs, when he led his team down and scored with, was it 13 seconds left, 18 seconds left?
Yeah.
And then the Chiefs went 2 plays later, kicked a field goal to tie it, go to OT, and then they went down and scored and never gave Josh the opportunity to get back on the field. That's when they changed the overtime rule in the playoffs to give both QBs an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? Josh Allen, in that moment at that time, played as well as he could have played. Gave his team the best chance to win at the end. I mean, 13 seconds, you should win the game, right? Just stop him.
Right.
Poor defensive coverage, to give them the opportunity to go kick the field goal. In this game, Josh did everything he possibly could to put him in a position to win. At the end of the game, I mean, credit to Spags. I mean, that was an unbelievable pressure disguise and execution on that 4th down play. But for Josh Allen to buy time, launch that ball to Kincaid, I mean, very few QBs would have the wherewithal to extend that play, find the guy, and get the ball out down the field like that. It was you couldn't have done it any better. And the guy drops it, So I look at 2 opportunities where the Bills are on their way to the Super Bowl. If other guys could just do their job,
right,
and make the play. The QB did everything he could do. So that's the disappointing part. Like, that's the part that hurts is, man, it takes everybody. It takes everybody executing in order to give you that opportunity. I mean, look at the Chiefs this year. Like the Chiefs, we talk about Mahomes' late game playmaking ability and just championship DNA. And that is absolutely the truth. But the Chiefs defense has come up in about 7 different games where they stopped the opposing offense from going down and scoring to win the game.
Yep.
Or they got to stop in order to get the ball back to Mahomes so that he could go down and win the game. So it takes everybody.
Yeah. Spags is hyper aggressive. He almost seems to ratchet it up when he faces Lamar, when he faces Josh Allen. Go to your career. How do you, Jalen Hurts? Now, Jalen's got a great O-line, but pressure is pressure. Sometimes they bring more than you can block. What was your belief when you knew you were going to face a coordinator who erred on the side of aggressive? Did you like that? Did you relish it? Did you see that as opportunities? Did it put extra stress on you?
So I look, it was a bit of a nightmare for the week in regards to preparation and planning. And you knew this, this going into a game with Spags. If you are in 3rd and long too much in this game, you don't have a chance.
Right. Because
he is so good at the disguise, and he's so good at getting an overload and getting a free rusher that you're then just in a situation where, man, you just have to get lucky that you can make that guy miss, or you can buy enough time in order to find somebody open down the field. You have to stay ahead of the chains against Spags. And that is something that Philly does very, very well because of their ability to run the football with Saquon and just the dynamic that Jalen Hurts gives that offense, similar to Lamar Jackson gives to Baltimore, where the QB almost becomes an extra blocker in the run game because you have to account for him and his ability to run the football. He takes a defender out of the mix and then typically leaves Saquon with a one-on-one, situation in the open field, which Saquon has been winning most of the time this year. And then they stay ahead of the chains with their play action, and they've got 2 great matchups outside with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. So if Philly cannot stay ahead of the chains, they do not have a chance in this game because they are not a drop-back passing team.
Yeah.
So if they're in a bunch of 3rd and longs, no chance against this Spags defense. They have to stay ahead of the chains, and that's something they typically do very well.
Finally, in a salary cap sport, it is hard to create a roster like Philly. I think it's the best I've seen in maybe 7 to 8, 9 years. San Francisco was really good about 3 years ago, but I don't think they had this kind of offensive line where you've got 4 Pro Bowl level players. So Kansas City's facing a roster. There's a star in every unit. There's 2 star guards. What was the most talented team you faced? You looked across and thought, they got better dudes than we do. We can still win, but they got better dudes maybe.
that Legion of Boom Seattle defense back in 2013, 14, 15 was really unprecedented when you look at every position. I mean, it was a Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber person at every single position. So what they did to draft and then develop those guys was remarkable. But I look at the Eagles and I look at their free agent acquisitions. Saquon Barkley, obviously he was a great player prior to coming to Philly, but this just elevated him even more. I would equate a lot to what going to Baltimore did for Derrick Henry. You combine him with a guy like Lamar, and it's just going to open up more and more opportunities. And sure enough, he had a stellar MVP, caliber season, just like Saquon did. But it's guys like Zach Bond, linebacker they signed from the New Orleans Saints, who was mainly a special teams player with New Orleans. I played with Zach. He was like third, fourth round pick from Wisconsin, comes in. He's just going to be a four-course special teams guy, backup linebacker behind Demario Davis and some of these other studs. But man, he's going to learn. He's going to work, and he's going to be prepared when his opportunity comes. And sure enough, it comes in Philly, and he becomes an all-pro player, right? C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he was a teammate of mine too in New Orleans. A guy that I love as a teammate, absolutely hate going up against him because of his mouth. But bottom line is the dude can play, right? And then they found a role for him, right? And he fulfills it very, very well. Slay, they've got an elite corner, right? Like they have a pass rush. They just have all these elite pieces they put together. But a lot of that's, man, the way you draft, the way you develop, the way you go identify free agents that are going to fill roles for you. Yeah.
Yeah, that Seattle team, they were pretty good. And they were all in their prime. They were young, twitchy, fast. You had Sherman. You had Earl Thomas. Yeah, that Cam Chancellor on that.
Oh, Cam Chancellor, dude. You had Cliff Averill. You had Michael Bennett. You got everybody. Yeah. Every single one of them was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah. Drew Brees, as always, my man. Appreciate you stopping by.
All right.
Thanks, Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.